generative AI. So about us, we exist only to make app development easier. So I spent about 23 years in business side of things, working with large enterprises, building large projects for large customers and large service providers. So I think the past 5 years and I think many years to come, and most of you as incubators, startups, aspirants are closely in that space where every individual needs to be able to build applications and launch digital applications, and the whole world becomes a customer. So that is our sole purpose that we exist, is we want to make digital product development easier. We support around 30 lakh users today, and we have saved over 1 billion hours of development time, powered by multiple patents to the platform, as well as good set of awards from folks like NASCOM, Economic Times Best Tech Brands, and so on and so forth. And we've been very happy to collaborate through ISBA, as well as most of the incubators in India as well as globally. Been very glad to work with many of you over the past many months to kind of launch many thousand startup ideas through Open Viewer Studio. And what do we view as democratizing digital development? In the traditional model, it is like someone like a TCS or an Infosys or an IBM or an Accenture would develop applications for companies like an American Express or an Indian government or for an L&T. But what we're seeing now is the opportunity. I think both technologies are much more accessible to everyone, as well as the capability that everyone has digital ideas is available, which means everyone, you, me, everyone that aspires to be a developer, aspires to have a startup idea, should be able to develop applications. And because everything is created digital, the billions of users across India as well as globally are potential marketplace for them. With an idea that the technology will rapidly change, because in just past 1 year, metaverse was dislodged by GenAI, and it continues to significantly change. So this change is imminent. In this situation, how can we leverage this rapidly evolving technologies to build digital experiences, which we can leverage to get to billions of people, is what we call as democratizing digital development. And so if you look at what happened, right? So internet, I think, made world fat in India. If everybody could go on mute, please, whoever is not speaking, thank you. So internet at first horizon made the world flat for access to information. So today, information available everywhere is available to all of us. Similarly, second dimension, if you look at it, with cloud computing, a server, a GPU that is available for a research institution, say out of Stanford, is today available equally in India as well. Of course, it may cost significantly high, but accessing a GPU out of India is today feasible because of cloud. So the same thing is what we're bringing to apps, that if you want to experiment on a core technology idea, it becomes easy for anyone to leverage the technology and build. Now, if you look at it, this is the decade of digital, right? So the last decade we called it IT. I think prior to that decade was what was management information services, where they said there is management, there is information, and the sole job of computers was to get those information to management, like a weekly report, monthly report. Then last decade was more around information technology, where they said, hey, it is not just management. Even someone like a logistics manager will need information to execute. So we started seeing a lot of things like web, e-commerce, banking, online banking, and so on and so forth. This is the decade of digital, where there is no difference. The business is technology and technology is business. So we cannot think of a situation of launching something today which does not have a digital way of interacting with each other or with users. So we call this as the decade of digital. What is unique? First, what we call as ubiquitous, which means today we have this session online, you registered online, maybe you'll connect with me on LinkedIn to kind of exchange some ideas. You will build something on OpenViewer Studio. You will reach out to your customers using a digital front end. So digital is become a core part of whatever you do, right? From as simple as my watch that probably knows more than my doctor does, to your phones, to what we're speaking today through. So digital in the first part is ubiquitous. You cannot separate saying, hey, I leave my desktop and then my connectivity ends there. It is a significant part of all of what we do, which essentially, because if you look at it traditionally, you go to a shop and then we said the customer journey starts there. But with digital, the customer journey does not end at all, because you get an alert on your phone, you're still talking to maybe a Marks and Spencer. You get alert on your phone, you probably are still connected to your bank. Uh, Most of us use Disney Hotstar to watch the World Cup, and you get personalized ads there that says this is streaming ad specific to your demographics. So in the digital world, there is no end that says I now go to the shop. You are always in the shop, and the shop is always in you. So the first part of it, which actually, because traditionally when we think of technology, we say, like what I did 10 years ago was, once someone comes into the store, you do some smart shopping for them. Now there is no separation between customer inside your shop versus customer outside your shop. Is the customer connected to your brand? Is that the opportunity is? And that opportunity brings in a lot more ways of engagement and interaction. It might not be your core product, but it might be on how you generate certain posts to send to them on social and so on and so forth. Then comes this globally connected, which essentially means that in a digital world, uh, today with X, formerly Twitter, everyone is a journalist today. So my opinion, your opinion, Rajdeep Sardesai's opinion, all of it is out there for everyone to know, argue, debate, and so on and so forth. So the world is fully connected, and by virtue of it, if you launch a product today, you may not want to physically ship your solutions, but you can, of course, engage with brands where you do not have a physical presence today. And you can later service certain markets, or you can understand certain markets based on the behaviors those they exhibit, and then you can extend it to the market. So ubiquitous is where the brand and the consumer are connected. The globally diversified is where the brand is accessible across the world. So that's the power that digital brings in. And if you compound that, so this is what happened, right? So this happened even with metaverse, this happened with Web 3.0, this happened with traditional AI. Now what's happening is generative AI. So when I used to run a lot of RPA, robotic automation projects, and AI projects or cloud, we used to say, these bots will do like back office automation and simple things, and humans will take care of the creative ones. And even if you rewind like 2 years ago, we said content economy is going to be the next big thing. We said IT was there, then BP was there, and then we said, hey, content economy is the next biggest thing that India will go after. Uh, in the last 6 8 months, we have seen that that the bots are able to write poetry. Bots are able to paint things. Bots are able to write or summarize legal documents. So there is significant disruption there on where we thought AI could do, where we thought AI automation was more in terms of some of the lower end automation work. But what we have started seeing is that bots have been able to significantly get into higher order automation, higher order creative content writing, as well as higher order complex orchestration, where you can look at multimodal solutions that infer from many different documents to provide you certain output. Uh, but then the typical question that we get asked by everyone saying, hey, with generative AI, and this is something, like you said, there are students in the call, there are startups in the call, and many startups including us, right? So we incorporate a lot of generative AI into what we do. So then the question suddenly comes saying, hey, if generative AI is writing Python code, does that mean the IT industry is gone, or my developer job is gone? Or significantly, we're seeing now if generative AI is able to write blogs, that business of creating blogs for articles for SEO authority, backlinking, product documentation, is it all gone? So I think there is a natural response that says, hey, generative AI is able to do so many things from legal to financial services to insurance to writing and coding. Will it take my job? Of course. And I think uh, the positive side is any disruption creates change. And we as entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, incubators in the ecosystem that drives entrepreneurship, it is up to us to very quickly seize the change and say, hey, this is generative AI. And what can generative AI do in certain industries? For example, some of you may be from food processing, some of you may be from agri-tech, some of you may be from EV tech. If you leave a GPT or an LLM alone, it's not going to come and learn all these things. So the opportunity in front of us is to actually look at, how do I take something like a GPT, something like a multimodal large language model, and then apply them to certain industries, certain use cases, and then make them much more easy to use so that you can lead the change. But if we wait for it to say, hey, this is too scary, someone will do it, then of course, I think it may take up some of the value that we may add. So the opportunity in front of us is to actually seize the opportunity that says, hey, there is absolutely, I think we acknowledge that generative AI is a decade defining technology, and it can provide a decade defining opportunity as long as we shape what that opportunity means for different industries. So very important one. We'll talk about it, and as well, I'll show you with some examples of how you can experiment with such powerful technologies very easily through the open waiver partnership with ISBA and opportunities that all of you will get. So leveraging generative AI, I think very important, right? So we want to be in the forefront of leveraging generative AI, and the power is at your fingertip. So do not miss the opportunity. So what does generative AI mean? Generative AI, can generate, that's the most simplistic way, across code, across image, across text, across video content, across even 3D and specialized content, right from 3D printing all the way to imaging and audio as well. So these are, typical forms of communication or forms of generation where generative AI is significantly mature today. And the right side, code, image, text are fairly, absolutely advanced, easily available for you to experiment. And I'll also show you, how you can experiment, how you can incorporate in what you do, and brings in use cases across multiple areas. Starts with as simple, traditional areas. We always look at it to say, how can you reduce cost through better insights, better optimization. Look at process efficiency that says if it takes 10 steps to do, how can you use a generative AI to kind of do it in 3 steps. Growth, how do you create new opportunities? I'll talk about new opportunities when we go through specific use cases that many young startups are building in generative AI, of course, which you could try as well. So traditional areas significantly useful in all aspects in efficiency, cost, and growth. Great ideas that are coming out around are government and citizen services as well, which means for you to interact with, for the government to interact with users, where typically is multilingual. Typically, you see, policy documents, like for example, when we started, we had simple questions that says, hey, should we, what type of STPA compliance should we achieve, and what does a soft text form mean? To understand that, we had to go through, some hundreds of forms and talk to so many people. But with generative AI, you can actually collapse those large volumes of documents and put it in simple bulleted answers that churns out what the exact answers that you're seeking for. So very useful in terms of government citizen services, in terms of telling people very simply on what those voluminous policies mean. Discoveries, insights across multiple areas. Again, what used to be unimodal, now we are able to go across multimodal, across multiple domains as well. So we're able to correlate across what does battery charging mean with chemical composition, intersection with the prediction that comes across from a statistical modeling, and apply it to maybe multiple domains as well. And that brings in fair degree of accelerated innovation. So multiple areas that generative AI is applicable. And I think each of us would kind of have specific areas that we specialize in, and then we can pull in examples that we could try. And I think the most important part is only trying, because if we don't try, it's very difficult to find out. This again is a great chart that essentially shows that what can generative AI impact. And very surprising chart if you look at it, right? I think, like I said, if someone asked us about 5 years or even 2 years ago that says, hey, what can AI and automation do? We always said AI and automation will go after customer service and sales. AI and automation will go after, health support technicians and so on and so forth. But if you see the chart, it's flipped upside down. It essentially says that, what we called as STEM professionals, education, creatives, business, legal is where the double-digit transformation opportunity is. So you can see that 15, 14, 16% disruption or optimization opportunity. And all of these are in high cost opportunities as well. These are not low cost opportunities, which means there is a significant startup opportunity for all of us to kind of create business ideas here. What can we do in legal tech? What can we do in creative? What can we do in workforce technologies? What can we do in STEM using generative AI? Has that multiplier effect, right? Can give you 16% optimization and 16% optimization of a white collar business, which means that these are at $200 per hour kind of businesses that you can disrupt, giving you a much bigger opportunity to go after and create startup ideas. So extremely important, uh, and across all areas, right? And why is the bottom not so much? Because some of the bottom has already been extracted. Some of the bottom has been extracted using traditional automation, traditional IT technologies. The top is what is ripe for disruption from our generative AI digital technology. So great opportunity here. And what examples are we seeing, right? So examples that we're seeing, healthcare and insurance, a digital scribe. We have been talking, and of course, thanks to one of the very few good things that came out of COVID was the virtual patient doctor interaction. So the ability, that there is a scribe that says, hey, you're talking to a doctor online. It can create summaries of clinical patient interactions in a simple, voice to text, text summarization solution. Very easy. Most technologies available today, easy bolt on. If anyone is interested, it's a great idea to go after. Next is around patient care, and all of us as consumers of healthcare would have faced it, right? So doctor writes a diagnosis, doctor puts out some prescription. It is so difficult to understand, and then all of us go to Google and get so scared, saying, "Hey, we imagine some things that may or may not be there." So again, huge opportunity in terms of ability to communicate what is written in a medical terminology with that patient or a consumer. And the same thing can go multiple ways, right? So for the patient, it can explain in a very simple way that says, hey, here is what your disease means, here is what your prescription is, here is your dosage, here is your side effect, here is what you should avoid, here are maybe some wellness activities that you can do, can actually be generated. So the doctor just needs to diagnose, prescribe. The patient care generative AI bot will write everything around what it means, what you can do, what you should avoid, uh, when should you further come back, and so on and so forth. This is the doctor's diagnosis and prescription related to patient. The same technology we can take and put it into doctor intersection insurance, which means if the doctor writes something, then it can actually do that, coding the medical instructions, claims to say, hey, this was the diagnosis, this was pre-existing, this is the criteria. And then maybe you can even tell the doctor that says, hey, for this insurance policy, this may very likely get declined. You could consider a different form of treatment that may require admission, no admission, so on and so forth. So it can take care of being a bridge between the doctor and the patient, being a bridge between doctor and uh, the the payer, the insurance company, uh, for that patient. So it can bridge both sides in the common methodology. Financial services, again, documentation, phenomenally useful in terms of, things like Moody's, goes after publishers, criteria that says India's economic criteria in news, which party has won in which area, and so on and so forth. They write voluminous things and then send it out to people. And then from there, there is intelligent advisory that says, based on what Moody's told, we are downgrading certain things, we are upgrading something else, and so on and so forth. So the entire chain, is based on, two or three key things, right? So first thing is the statistical modeling, where you look at it and say, uh, how does a stock perform? Uh, what is the statistical projection of what might happen there? And of course, you may look at indices and others as well. Second dimension is where you're looking at the external triggers that says you're looking at current news, you're looking at macroeconomic principles of maybe there is a war, there is a geopolitical alignment, non-alignment, and then the advisory goes out and writes which I get every morning, before I even wake up. There is something from a wealth advisor that says go change your mutual fund, or do these stocks this way. That person is doing the same thing. There is a forecast, there is a industry view that says here is the news, here is the macroeconomic principles, and then there is an advisory that someone creates that says uh, here is what it means to you. Here is what it means to you as a risk portfolio X. Here is what it means to you if you're a risk portfolio Y. So that entire thing of actually predicting, scanning multimodal news, audio, multiple domains that says volatility of energy sector, volatility of a certain war that is going on. All of it will be or actually is being done by AI, and even writing that advisory that says, what do these things mean for you, is also being done generative AI. It show you a very simple application, as we go towards the end of the session, on how you can actually build, building a financial advisor bot is so easy these days. I'll show you how you can build one, and maybe, no guarantees, but hopefully it'll help you make some money as well. So we'll see how that works. So financial services, again, great opportunity. Retail e-commerce, again, very low hanging fruits are available as well. Today, again, if you look at it, like I said, content economy, many people, I think a lot of e-commerce is around, creating descriptions, content, different views of how the product looks like. So an entire thing around creating descriptions, images is fully done now using generative AI. And if you haven't realized, all the pictures in this PPT are actually done by generative AI. Uh, Maybe except one or two, apologies, but yeah, most of it is from generative AI. And personalized recommendations. So what would it mean if I were to communicate it? Let's say I'm from Chennai. Base branch has always been in Chennai, so it maybe tells you saying, hey, for Chennai weather, the linen shirt is good. Uh, so something like that. If it personalizes it based on, again, multimodal interpretation, again, great opportunity to personalize recommendation. Maybe even personalize it in a vernacular language that you may be, liking, emote attached to. Those opportunities are there. Warranty bot is again, amazing opportunity. Again, I think the first thing that we do as we get any packages, we throw out the warranty paper. And then maybe 8 months down the line, some screen breaks or, some water went into your 2 lakh phone. Then you don't know saying, hey, was water covered there or, was accidental damage covered there. So this warranty bot which ingests, and again, these are very easy things that you can launch in 30 minutes using OpenWeaver Studio. I'll show you how as well. You can create customer warranty bots trained on your documentation as well. See, of course, it can answer the world's million questions, as well as any warranty documentation that you might have that you want your users to have. You can put it in, and the user says, "Oopsie, it broke," and then it can say, "Sorry, I can't help you, but maybe it will give you a personalized recommendation saying, hey, this shop has a sale, you can go buy something." So again, great opportunity in terms of customer support, warranty bot from a retail e-commerce perspective. Legal public services, writing a contract, I think amazing. I was blown away. So we even piloted, writing T's and C's for a website using some of the generative AI services that we have. It's able to write extremely well. We just didn't make it go live because we didn't know who will go to jail. If I put a T's and C's based on what the bot wrote, am I still the person who is accountable, or is the bot accountable? Of course, I think today it is with the human. I think some of those contracts of what happens for the bot telling will come out over the next many years. But it is a great first step. It saves like 70% of the time. It tells you what it is there. And second one, analyzing contracts to flag possible issues is a immense opportunity that is there. So anything that we do in contracts that I work with, we look at, hey, what is the limitation of liability? Are we very clear that says, say, there is a limitation of liability to X lakh rupees or X rupees? That's something that I look at in every contract. So even if its contract is for 50 pages with it, kind of interwoven in many areas, I'm able to push it out and say, hey, find out, if there is any direct or indirect uh, mentions of, liability, and that pulls out and shows you saying, hey, here are 3 paras, just look at it. So it almost does like a paralegal job that actually tells you saying, hey, you can look at para 3, 4, which are red spots based on the current risk that you see in this contract. Saying in this contract, what can go wrong, it can actually tell that to you. Virtual public servant, again, amazing opportunity. There are multiple pilots going on where in local languages, it can explain, government policies, legal implications to public on what these mean and how they could use something. Public feedback collection, again, great opportunity. You can collect people's audios, people's social post about a certain area, people's direct inputs. You can use multiple methodologies from what we traditionally had as uh, entity extraction, sentiment analysis, all the way to kind of extrapolating it using natural language translation to say, hey, this is what they meant in their cultural meaning. So significant opportunity exists in public services as well. So these are again, great opportunities for all of us to pick up. Education, hyper personalized education. So even today, even in the days of online education, it is still one to many, which means be it a classroom or be it a Zoom classroom, like what I'm doing today. I'm saying anything common, but all of you might be from different backgrounds. Should you go through the same thing versus in hyper personalized? I create a courseware, and then based on what you select, you only get that pieces saying, I'm an incubator, I want to know what I should do. I'm a startup, I'm a student. What should I do? You will only get that piece of content that is related to you. And we've even had some of the startups using our platform who are creating skill based as well, or skill level based, which actually grades the student and then says the student is at level A, B, C, D. And then how do I pace the content based on that student's level? Again, great opportunity for hyper personalizing education. Creative writing, image generation. We even had tools created for story writing, social post writing, so on and so forth. Lesson summarization, again, great opportunity. You know, something very complex could be that someone is dyslexic and just wants to understand some summary. Then can you feed it to them one step at a time? Summarization is a great generative AI technology. Multilingual learning, resume generation, great thing again. People do so many courses, but for internship, they struggle to write. They send a resume and say, sir, give me a job. But can they write a nice cover letter that says, this is what I can do for you, or this is how I can solve issues for you? So many opportunities, HR policies, employee safety, again, there are so many opportunities in every field that you are an expert with. I'm sure you will be able to uncover, a huge set of opportunities. Media and sales, high quality content at scale. You can generate anything. You can generate text, characters, highlight generation. Very similar to summarization. There is a huge thing that comes out. You only want to know ABCD. You can pull out ABC. Auto tagging, again, great opportunity, and most of those are available in Open Viewer Studio that you can use. So today there is a large content. Tomorrow you want to say, I just want to look at content related to policy A or uh, topic A. You can actually easily pick saying everything related to Coimbatore area only I need. So you'll be able to pull it out straight. And personalizing content, I think we already have enough spam. So I hope, this doesn't become too much. But of course, we're able to write such sweet emails that says, it's almost like, someone wrote it specifically for me. You can create all those amazing things using generative AI. So if I were to summarize, the future is digital, right? So I think it is only limited by your imagination. Now, uh, what you think, I think is possible today. And we have had examples of people thinking everything. We worked with a startup who said, we are in the art space, and let's say Etsy is a platform where you can buy, sell art at across lakhs of artisans. They said, hey, we cannot compete with Etsy. They have lakhs of people who are registered on their platform. So they went out and used generative AI from our platform to create text to image. So I can go in and say, hey, create an image for me, and you can create so many variations of it, and then then their workflow is there that once you like the image, you can sign it, and then they will print it in canvas and ship it to you. So they almost at zero human effort, they were able to replicate what lakhs of artists were able to do, and satisfy a large growing need of niche of users who wanted what do you call custom art that is created specifically for them, and very rarely is duplicated. So it is not that the same picture is there across millions of people. You can customize it to the nth degree, and you can print it at home. So it's almost like you drew it, you took a drawing class and you drew it, or you commissioned an artist to draw something for you. But all of this was done in a few weeks with launching that business idea as a minimum viable product, almost with zero artistic human effort involved. So it is only AI which draws, the human which gives the instruction, and then our traditional like a Vista print kind of business in the back end which prints and ships it to someone. So imagination is I think it can take us anywhere with generative AI. And what have we done? We have made it easy for everyone to create generative AI applications, and of course, any AI or any web application as well. So we made it very easy for you to create using reusability, because there are so many reusable solutions already available. We made it easy for you to drag, drop, and launch your own generative business venture in a very easy approach. So how do we do it? And we do it using OpenWeaver Studio. We call this the no code for digital products. So if you have used Canva for marketing, or if you use Wix for websites, or if you use WordPress for blogging, similarly, if you have a digital idea, it could be a simple user interface all the way to a very complex, like I said, a wealth advisor. You can do all of that using OpenWeaver Studio. It is the no code for digital products. Very simple 3 steps I'll show you, and thanks to the partnership, all of you will have great set of credits to use and launch your ideas as an incubator to all of your startups, and as a startup for your startup idea as well. So first step is to create a amazing UI. I'll maybe since we're running short of time, I'll quickly go and show it in the demo. But three steps. One, you create a cool looking UI across all form factors, whether it's a mobile or a desktop. You can add any resource: generative AI, machine learning, email, database, big data. All of those you can add with just a click. You don't need to code at all. And then you write a logic that says how do you do, and then you click on deploy and you go live. It's as simple as that. And people have said it's the fastest, easiest, and most complete platform. Someone could build their website in 2 hours. With no coding experience, you can create generative AI and everything from low fidelity, high fidelity, to web page, to backend, to AI, to API, to architecture, to cloud hosting, security. All of it is available in a simple browser-based interface, which means you don't need anything. You don't need a Figma. You don't need a React developer. You don't need Amazon Web Services credits. You don't need a security consultant to go live. Everything is available in OpenViewer Studio. And as part of the partnerships, everyone who registered and attended today, you will get an email from OpenViewer where you will get free credits to launch your startup idea. If you're an incubator, you can reach out to us as well. If you say, hey, I have 20 startups who will require these credits and opportunities, we can of course do a detailed session for your startups and provide those credits to your startups as well. And we will support you with a free 12-week mentoring that says how you can launch your product. And if anyone has questions, please reach out to Dhiren at openviewer.com, as well as the WhatsApp number that is there. So you can reach out to us and we will help you, build your ideas and launch your minimum viable product very quickly. So we have about 15 minutes now. I'll spend about 5 to 7 minutes in showing, how easy is it to create, because we spoke about so many things. Right? We said generative art, generative text, and all those things. I'll show you, that it is not for tomorrow or future. I'll show you in 5 minutes how to create such ideas. And then maybe we'll spend a few minutes on questions from there. So I'm just going to unshare and reshare in a moment. Please bear with me. So this is OpenViewer Studio. Once all of you get access, you will get into OpenViewer Studio. Once you get into OpenViewer Studio, you will get into what is called as a workspace. And there, you can actually, build amazing applications. I'll show you that wealth management example, and then I'll show you the back end of how it works. And then together in less than 5 minutes, we'll build, a few generative AI applications as well. So this use case is a financial advisor. And let's say the scenario is that I'm watching multiple stocks and I want financial advice on each stock. As a advisor, you can say, hey, let me use a bot to maybe do 40% of what I need to do, and then you can review it and create something on top of it. So you just hit financial advice, and the bots go into actions. They go out, they do a predictive, they go back, they look at the news, then they go out and you know try to extrapolate that says this is what is happening in the news, and what would they like to do. And then it writes a nice letter as well that says, this is what it is, and this is my recommendation. And then if you are a financial analyst, you can say approve and mail. It sends emails to all the subscribed wealth management clients that I have. So very simple. It almost writes something that is as cool as a veteran financial advisor will do. And if you look at behind the scenes, fairly straightforward. So So if you get into Open Viewer Studio, when you get access, you should try it out. Three things are there. First is called pages. Pages have like header, footer, a lot of the standard elements. So all of these have been created using elements. You can drag drop all of those things and you can customize as well. Then it has something called as resources. Resources are what is doing all these cool things that we talked about. A database where you will have your stock data, um, a database where you will have your content of what it is. An API connector that will actually go to a news site and say, for this TCS, is there any news related to TCS buyback? An email that can actually send email to all your, wealth advisory customers. An auto ML regressor, which is actually, which is pull data across, it is run as we speak, right? At 3:49 p.m. It has actually pulled out, updated the regression model. It goes out and pulls out all the stocks that you're watching and then runs a regression. And this again, is very powerful. You can regress across multiple models based on the data that you upload. And then it provides you a prediction. And then from there, you can feed it to the content generation that actually pulls that and creates the content that says, hey, this is my. So if you look at it in steps, it will come out very clearly. So it says, hey, I start, I navigate to the page, I go to the database or API, fetch something there, I do a projection, I connect to the API, get a news, I add all those things. What is my predicted price? What is the stock I'm watching? What is the news that is impacting the stock? I do a manipulation and feed it to my content generation AI algorithm, and then I extract what is there, and then I update the database to say this is the news that is there, and I send an email to all of my users. So everything that a human being would have done or a wealth advisor would have done manually, this is able to do, right? And it may sound complex, but I'll show you, how easy it is for us to do. So let's say we want to create a ISVA. So we'll do an ISBA image and demo that we'll create today. So let's say we want to create a generative AI application. I'll show you how easy it is. So you can create across all things. So let's say we want a header. Maybe that's my header for an app that I'm creating, which will create generative images. Then what do I need? I need to collect a user input and generate an image, right? So I need a user interface for that. And these section templates provide you everything, right? From header, footer to hero sections to content, image, everything it provides. And everything is like let's say for example, I want to showcase some of the cool images that generative AI has created. I can put it there as well, and then it comes out automatically. And now I want to, let's say, create a image generation utility. So I go to generative AI and I say I want a section template to create an image. So now I've created my front end very easily. It says, hey, this is what it is. And I can add, of course, a FAQ, a footer, whatever I want, I can add to the bottom of it as well. So let's say I want to add a footer. I can add a footer. And out of the box, everything is responsive, which means it automatically adjusts for a mobile phone. So you don't need to worry about do I create for a phone or do I create for a desktop or do I create for a tablet? Everything automatically adjusts to the form factor that you're looking at, and gives you that preview option as well. At any point of time, you can share with your user as well. So let's say we call this. We call this the ISBA image generator. And you can hit preview and you will get a temporary URL. You can share this with your users and say, this is an app that I did. Do you like the user interface? What do you want me to change? And so on and so forth. So now we created the front end. So what do I need now? I need a resource to generate the image, right? So I'm going to create a generative AI application. So let's say we go to this one and add. Now I add text to image, right? So no coding required. Hit plus, resource added. That's it. I don't need to do anything else. So now what do I need to do? I need to write some logic that says from this page, the user chooses this text box. This text box this is called input 54. So moment the user input something in the input 54, I want to create an image for it. So I go to my flow. Let's call this image gen flow. So this is my flow. Moment I have added anything like an image generator, you will automatically get a action for it automatically created on the platform. So you can say start, create an image, and end, right? So start, image generate, and end. That's it, right? But now from where? Where do I start from? I start from page one. And page one, it is automatically showing in page one. Input 54 is available to me. So I come to image generator and say, hey, I want to do text to image. What is the text? The text is from a page parameter called image input 54. So input 54, I'm giving as input. Output is there. So now what do I need to do? What do I do with the output? I need to make it available to my page. So I'm saying that action output from text to image that came out, I need it to be available to my page. So I've created the backend now. It goes to page one, takes the data, sends it to AI and creates the picture and makes it available at the end of the flow. So that's it, right? I created a generative AI resource. I created a flow. Now what is pending? I need to tie them together. So what do I need to tie? I need to come here and say, when I click on this, I need to call that flow. So I go to something called as interaction and say, when I click this button, I want to execute a flow, and that flow is automatically coming here called image gen flow, right? So this is done. When someone clicks, now the image generation will happen, and that image generated will come and be available. But where do I show? I think this is a beautiful picture, but it needs to come back from what I described. So I don't need this picture. So I'm going to remove this and say instead of static image, I'm going to say I need a dynamic image. So I select dynamic and it automatically says, hey, this is a flow available to you. And from this flow, the data, if you remember, we said this is the data that is available. And from here, I'm going to say output needs to be mapped here. So we are done, right? So we added something as simple, took about 4 minutes so far. I hit deploy. This application will go live now. So across the world, everyone who goes to studio sample slash is by image demo page one will be able to run this application now. So this idea that we had, like what I borrowed from that HC kind of user, is live globally. So you can say, something like. So generative AI creates, of course, it has to create something that does not exist today. So it may take anywhere between 20, 40, 50 seconds based on uh, the uniqueness of the prompt that you have written, the different resources which are hitting the backend and so on and so forth. And it will come here. So in a similar way, you can create many types of resources that you want. So for example, you can add a content generation. You can add a content generation where you can say, that So you can kind of use a lot of the things that essentially says that you can write resumes like what we talked about earlier, or and these I'm just for interest of time. We have about 2 more minutes to wrap up. Interest of time, you let's say you we looked at image generation, we looked at some of the content generation. Let's say you want to summarize. Let's say go to summarization, and in each of these can actually be added back from somewhere. So let's say I go to Ministry of Innovation, National Innovation Startup Policy, and I want to summarize it for all of the startups. So let's say I want to summarize it in 50 sentences. Let me give it a few more tokens for it to run. You can actually run a lot of those cool things where it will create things and summarize it for you. And again, based on generative AI, you may get some errors at certain point of time. And as we built into the application, you will add, edit a lot of those things as you move forward as well. So you will have many resources like the text to image, AutoML regressor, image to image, email, API, where you can connect to, like anything that you can connect to, and so on and so forth. So great set of things that you can do. And coming back, we'll kind of request all of you to look out for your mailboxes. And if you haven't got anything on your email, please feel free to reach to Mr. Kandasamy at ISBA, as well as Dhiren at openviewer.com, as well as this WhatsApp number that you can get access to OpenViewer Studio, and then any other details that you all need in terms of how to use generative AI in a startup, how to create a minimum viable product very quickly. We would love to maybe do detailed sessions for you, as well as help you leverage our platform and create a lot of new ideas as well. So I'll maybe pause here and take 2 3 questions, and then we can of course connect offline as well.
Am I audible? Hello. I have 2 questions. If you can hear me, the first one is that which LLM are you using in the background? Are you integrating 2 3 application together?
Correct.
And I believe, yeah,
So
please.
OpenViewer Studio has our some of our custom LLMs as well. So we are open and viewer, which means there are a large vast set of open source LLMs available, as well as the industry standard LLMs. So if you want OpenAI, if you want stability, and then soon Gemini as well, will be available. So we help you integrate it in a very simple no-code manner. So that's the value proposition. Yes, we are not specialists in LLMs. We bring out LLMs and make it accessible to everyone to build on. You can train and build on.
Right. So one suggestion I had, for example, you said you have to write low code, that logic flow. I believe that can also be done through simple prompt. You just write it in a natural language and automatically it can create logic as well. So why you put there to human to do it?
Correct. No, I think it's a very valid question, and I think if you take that conversation along, if you take that conversation one step ahead, which is a very
Right.
important thing that can come. So we are saying, hey, you can use an LLM to write Python code, and then like you're saying, you can use LLM to write no code.
Right.
Why don't you use LLM to execute the transaction itself? Why do you write a no code or a low code which will create something and then do the task? The ultimate, the next step itself can be that the LLM will execute the task itself. So we may not even. So these, I believe, are transitionary phases. Sorry, I'm not able to catch your name, but these are transitionary phases where there are gaps on both sides. There are gaps in which the human change management is there today, and there are gaps in the accuracy of what these LLMs create today. So because of those two gaps, we are surviving with certain scenarios, maybe for the next 2 to 5 years, in scenarios where there is a traditional user interface. There is a mobile phone. There is a mobile phone where someone goes, clicks, There is something that people talk to. And then, like you said, LLM can create Python, LLM can create no code, LLM can create low code. But I think these are, I think evolving opportunities that are there today. Give it 3, 4, 5 years. I think we'll all be in a scenario where we'll be telling something to an LLM or some other form of AI, and it will directly execute. Why even write all these no code, low code, and all? So that's the vision that we are going after as well. But given the maturity of technology that is stable today, this is a step that we and the industry are comfortable with.
Right. Thank you. So we can also let it model to create, and then validation can be done by user. Means given a suggestion that can be done. Right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
That is what we're going after. That both the preview and deploy will help you in about 10, 15 minutes create and launch an idea that you can share with global users who can validate and give back to you.
Right. Thank you.
I will request anyone who's not speaking to go on mute, please.
Ashok sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
No, I think there is some feedback. I was requesting anyone who's not speaking to go on mute, but yeah.
Okay. For mute. Okay.
Hi, can I come in with a question, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hi. So thank you for the presentation. Truly enlightening. I've been dabbling in low code, no code, Python recently. Not a coder myself. Just the fact that it was, easier to code using a lot of low code, no code things was itself a big step. What I see, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the entire proposition here is to convert the entire plain text directly to jump to the output where the LLM acts as a complete black box instead of having an intermediary low code, no code kind of a step. That's my first understanding. If you could quickly validate that, maybe I could follow up with the main part of the question.
Yeah, let me maybe clarify that. As a platform, you can create anything on OpenViewer Studios. For example, if you have an idea that says, I want to create something like a Coursera, you can create everything from sign up, sign in. You want a tool that looks at embedding web components into it. You want to bring in dynamic courses. You want to bring in a generative AI resume builder. All of it can be done. So you can build anything, on OpenViewer Studio. You can build any sort of pages starting from a low fidelity of all elements. So anything that you can do with a Wix, you can do in OpenViewer Studio. You can build any number of pages. You can build hundreds of pages. You can connect hundreds of pages. Then you can add any sort of resources. So if you want text to image to text, content, everything, right from adding it to your no code or adding it to your art generation kind of use case, or that use case that I showed you where it writes a financial summary. You can write, and you can write any business logic that says, how will you connect users, how will you write a resume, everything you can do. So that's the clarification, if you will. It is a platform to create any business idea. Business idea, for example, we work with certain startups who are Uber for photographers. So they've created a app that will create that will connect all photographers in a 5 kilometer radius. So you can log into that app and then find out saying, if I have a birthday today evening and I need someone to come and take a picture, who is available, all the way to this app that can generate images, an app that can generate resumes for, let's say, an ed tech scenario is what it does. So you can create any application. It does not need to just be generative. Of course, generative is one of the hottest. You can create from, people have launched simple websites, contact us, and so on.
Sure. So let's say, for example, in this particular case, I consult with some MSMEs and such companies. Typical cases where, for example, a lot of standard analytics and reporting, which currently goes into, let's say, dedicated analytics team, or needs to be outsourced, etc. Right? That's a very clear case for really minimizing human effort and putting standard inputs in a templated form on a, let's say, a web form interface or a chatbot interface or something like that, which essentially just does the cleanup of the data, converts it into the required reporting format, and in the process of the analytics, if there is any anomaly detected, there is a trigger alert or something. To complicate it further, one can always, integrate it through API with the CRMs, etc. Those are, uh, frills that can be added, but the basic problem statement is something like that. One sees two issues there. Number one, obviously, it should be as minimum coding and development effort as required, which I think you've already answered in the earlier part. The second part is with regard to the confidentiality and security of the data as to where it travels and where does it go to and come back. That's generally always a big question mark for these companies who have such tools residing within their IT systems. And finally, in terms of the ownership of the product itself, in terms of the lifetime maintenance, etc., that's the AMC, etc., does that stay with OpenWeaver in this case? And is so the way I'm looking at this is, if as a consultant, I keep coming across such use cases. Is it a good case to look at OpenWeaver as a partner to translate a lot of that at a quick turnaround pace for solutioning, um, for such business cases with multiple potential clients? Sorry for the long question, but I thought detailed context would help.
No, no, absolutely. I think it's a great use case actually. I think summarizing and even alerting, looking for anomalies is a great use case. So absolutely, I think as a use case for the technology, I think it's the right thing to do. And of course, OpenWeaver's platform is a great platform for it to use. And like I said in the previous question, there are multiple models to select from. So based on the model that you select, data will stay within our secure cloud, or if you choose you want OpenAI's algorithm, it may go to a external cloud based on, again, based on their thing that says, data privacy policies that are there. So there is using an open source algorithm internally will protect the data from going out. Using some public APIs, the data will go out, but of course, I think that is the
It'll be encrypted. This
no,
is
no,
always
of
going to be
course,
scope for it.
all fully encrypted, and you can actually add additional layers of encryption on the tool explicitly as well, where you will hold keys and encrypt.
Sure. So, I would want to take others' times for the question, but this does sound very exciting. Post the session, would it be possible for? Is it the person on the screen, Mr. Ziren Gala?
Yes, Dhiren
Would
will
that?
coordinate. Dhiren manages our partnership with ISBA, so we can reach out and connect through.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think
Yes,
if there
from
are no
others.
further questions, thank you everyone for joining, and please reach out to us. We would love to, collaborate with you as a startup or an incubator, or as a consultant in the space. Thank you all so much, and Kansami, back to you. We can wrap up.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for excellent presentation, sir. Actually, ISBA members can use this platform for further interaction also. So they can also MOU with the OpenWeaver also for further collaboration activities for their product development, such innovations, etc. So thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Dhiren sir also, the team of OpenWeaver, and all the members of ISBA and the students who can participate in this event. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you for the session. Thank you.